الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وآله وصحبه. أما بعد, my dear brothers and sisters, my dear children, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Now who can remind me the name of the current lunar month? Huh? What's the name of the current lunar month? Rajab. What number is it in our calendar? 7. Absolutely right. Well, there is something special about Rajab. There are four months which are regarded as sacred. Exactly. Ashhur Hurum. So it's Rajab, and who can tell me the rest? Remember, Saeed, we said 7, 11, 12, 1. Yes? So what's number 11? So it's Rajab. Yes? And? No Sha'ban. No Sha'ban, no Ramadan. Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, and Muharram. Yes. So Saeed remembers the sequence 7, 11, 12, 1. Right. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن عدة الشهور عند الله 12 شهرا في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض منها 4 حرم ذلك الدين القيم فلا تظلموا فيهن أنفسكم. This is verse 36, chapter 9 At-Tawbah. The number of the months in the sight of Allah is 12 in a year, of course, yeah? So ordained by Him the day He created the heavens and the earth. Of them 4 are sacred. That's the right religion, so do not wrong yourselves therein. The punishment is greater in these 4 months for any sins committed. Greater, much, much greater. And also the good deeds. So try to avoid doing any evil things during the month of Rajab. Anyway, whether it is the month of Rajab or any other month, we shouldn't be doing evil deeds. But remember that the punishment increases doubled, maybe more than that. Okay, it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to decide how He is going to punish or forgive. In the most of the opinions claim that during the month of Rajab, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went on Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. What is the meaning of Isra in Arabic? What is Isra? Eh? No. Journey by night. Excellent. Well done. Journey by night. Now, this journey by night happened to other prophets in the Quran. Don't forget, Isra is different from Mi'raj. Mi'raj is ascension into heaven. And Isra is a journey on planet Earth by night. So if you travel from London to Pakistan by night, you have done your Isra. Okay, that's the meaning of Isra. So it happened to other prophets in the Quran. Who can remind me? Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. Excellent. And let me refer you to the verses. It's verse 77, chapter 20. وَلَقَدْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَى أَنْ أَسْرِ بِعِبَادِي. We sent an inspiration to Moses, travel by night with my servants. And another ayah, verse 23, chapter 44, the smoke. فَأَسْرِ بِعِبَادِي لَيْلًا. March forth with my servants by night. Okay, so Isra happened also to Prophet Musa and all the children of Israel who were residing in Egypt at that time. Now, another prophet also. Isra will always mean saving you from something as well. So, who else was saved by night? Lot. Very good. Well done. Well done. Excellent. Excellent. فَأَسْرِ بِأَهْلِكَ بِقُطْعٍ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. Verse 81, chapter 11, Surah Hud, Prophet Hud alayhi salatu wasalam. Travel with your family while yet a part of the night remains. So Isra happened to Musa and Bani Israel, and happened to Lut and his family. And during the Isra of Lut, the wife turned back and she was turned into a pillar of salt, as the Quran and the Old Testament, they tell us. Now, alaykum salam. Let's have a lesson of physics. I love physics. Very nice. We know from the tradition and from the Quran that the Prophet ﷺ was taken by night from Mecca, yes, to where did he go? To Jerusalem. Exactly. He went from Mecca to Jerusalem. And then we know also from Surah An-Najm and from the tradition that he went up from there to where? To heaven. And he returned to Mecca, and his bed was still warm. That's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, can you imagine when you get up in while you are asleep and you go to the toilet, come back, and your bed is still warm? 2-3 minutes, yes? 2-3 minutes, and your bed is still warm. Is it possible? I mean, to travel from Mecca to Jerusalem and then go all the way up and come back and the bed is still warm? What happened to the time?
Allah can do anything, it's possible.
Allah can do anything, exactly. How long did the people, the companions of the cave, sleep in the cave? How many years?
309 years.
309. And when they wake up, did they grow any beards? Did they grow? No. But when you go to bed, you grow, yes?
Yeah,
Nothing stops.
Yeah.
But these people, they did not grow anything. Yes? 309. What happened to the dog?
Also,
It stayed there. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
And they woke up, and the Quran tells us that they even looked at each other and they asked the question, how long we've been here for? And one said, a day or a part of a day. يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْدَ يَوْمٍ. Because no change. Nothing happened to them. Right. Now the food, you remember the story of Uzair. Uzair was traveling in Surah Al-Baqarah. The man was traveling on his donkey, and he passed by Jerusalem when it was completely destroyed, fully destroyed. And he looked at it and he said, أَنَّ يُحْيِي هَذِهِ اللَّهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. How come Allah will be able? He was not questioning the power of Allah. He was referring to the destruction of Jerusalem. How could Allah give life back or restore this city back to its original character? So Allah made him die 100 years. Excellent. Well done. 100 years. What happened to the donkey? He died as well. What happened to the food?
Food is still there.
Still there, the same. So Allah commanded the bacteria not to affect the food. 100 years the food remained intact. The Quran says that. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala restored him to life and he asked him, how long you been away for? He said a day or a part of a day, because time, this is what I'm trying to explain. Time is a relevant thing. What is time to us on planet Earth? Can someone tell me what is time to us? How do we measure time on planet Earth? Huh? How do we measure it? What is a day? Huh? The rotation of the earth around the rotation, a complete rotation would give you what? 1 day. 5. If you are in the space between the planets and the galaxies, where is time? It doesn't exist. There's no time. Even on the day of resurrection, when we will all come back to life again, and Allah will ask the question, how long have you been there for? قالوا يوما أو بعض يوم. A day or part of a day. Nothing. When you sleep, and the soul leaves the body, Allah يتوفى الأنفس حين موتها والتي لم تمت في منامها. Allah takes your soul when the time comes up for you to go, or while you are in bed. When you wake up, do you know how long you've been asleep for? Can you tell me? You don't know. Nobody knows. Do you know? Unless you look at your watch and, I've been asleep for 5 hours, 6 days. You don't. So, if Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was taken on a journey by night from Jerusalem, from Mecca to Jerusalem, and then he went all the way up and came back and his bed is still warm, where is time? We said, look at the people of the cave, where is time? Look at Ezra and his donkey and his food, where is time? And when you talk about the power of Allah to implement these things, Think about last week, we were talking about the split of the Gulf of Suez into two huge tidal waves. Each one was the height of a mountain. Allah stopped, can you imagine, the water from flowing. What is the norm? The water to flow. Allah stopped it completely. And when Jonah was in the tummy of the whale, what happened to him? Allah commanded the whale not to digest him.
Same thing
And
with
Allah...
fire with Ibrahim.
And the fire with Ibrahim, and the fire with Ibrahim, and the knife with Ismail.
Yeah.
So this is not something, you see, one of the articles of faith is الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. And I told you last week that some of my Jewish friends, they deny all this. They deny the split of the sea. They denied that Moses hit the rock and 12 springs gushed up. They deny it. Alhamdulillah, we are believers. So if you believe, in the same way we believe that Mary gave birth to Jesus without a father. In the same way Allah gave John to Zechariah from a mother who had no womb. In the same way He gave a son to Ibrahim from Sarah who was barren and old, and Ibrahim was old. We need to have this faith in our hearts and in our minds, so we cannot deny any of these things. It's so important. So I said that Isra happened to Lut alayhi salatu wassalam and to Musa alayhi salatu wassalam, and Isra happened to Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Now, I mentioned that Rajab is month number 7, and I mentioned that's one of the 4 sacred months, and that we have to be good all the time, but make sure that you are more good in these 4 months. Now, let's talk about physics. Who can remind me the speed of the light? Speed of the light. Now, angels, what angels are made of? Light. How many wings have they got? They have different wings according to the different responsibilities. Surah Fatir, what does it say? جاعل الملائكة رسلا أولي أجنحة. He made the angels chose messengers out of the angels. He made them with wings. أولي أجنحة what? مثنى وثلاثة ورباع. 2 wings, 3 wings, or 4. And then what is the end of the verse? يزيد في الخلق ما يشاء. So there are angels. When Muhammad ﷺ asked Jibreel to appear in his real form, his head was in the heaven, his feet was in the earth, and the wings, one in the west, one in the east. And some narration says, or some hadith says, 7,000 wings. يزيد في الخلق ما يشاء. Subhanah. And in spite of all this, there are some angels in heaven. Their intercession is not accepted. They cannot talk even without the permission of Allah. So we need to understand ما قدر الله حق قدره. They never gave Allah His right status. And that's what we need to understand from all these stories. I'm not telling you a story that Muhammad ﷺ was taken on a journey by night and he prayed there and the prophets came and he was the imam and then he went up there and he received the salah. So what? We need to understand the benefit we are getting today from something happened so long time ago. Do you remember last week I was talking about Musa, about Pharaoh when he drowned, when he was drowned? Yes? What did he say to Allah? What did he say while he was dying?
You believe in Musa or Harun?
I believe in the God which Bani Israel believed in. What did Allah say to him? Al-Yawma. Allah said to him, now, and you have disobeyed before. Al-Yawma nunjika bibadanika litakuna liman khalfa. Today we save you in the body so you will be sign to those who will come behind you. When was this verse revealed, my dear brothers and sisters, my dear children? How many years ago? Almost. How many?
5,000.
No, the verse. over 1400. Yes? Agreed? When was the body of Ramses II, the Pharaoh of Moses, was discovered? Huh? Tell me.
70 years?
117 years ago, 1898. Go and Google it. So what happened? Professor Maurice Bucaille at the French University in Paris became a Muslim not only because of this, but also he looked at the embryology of in the Quran. And he said, how come? How would these people know over 1400 years ago that this body will be saved? His body was, the water was commanded not to consume the body. Yes? The fish was commanded not to eat the body. Someone came, picked up the body, embalmed it, buried it, and 117 years ago, a discoverer goes to Egypt and he digs the ground and he finds the body. Oh my goodness. Look at the miracle of the Quran. For so many years, 1400 years, it tells us that this body been saved. Where is it? It's been found. And so many other things. So, okay, Prophet ﷺ was taken by night from Mecca to Jerusalem. Okay. Let's only talk about this bit. Only the Isra. I'm going to look at the speed of the light. What is the speed of the light? I never remember it, but I have to ask you.
186,000 miles per second.
My 186,000, you must be my GP. Thank you very much indeed, my GP. 186,000 miles per second, which is equivalent to 300,000 kilometers per second. Can you imagine? How far is the sun from the earth? How far is the sun from the earth? And how long? How far is the sun?
93 million.
150 miles, 150 million kilometers. The sun. And how long does the light of the sun take to reach us, to travel through the space? Not bad. 8.5 minutes for light to travel from the sun to the earth. Very good, very good. So, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, Quraysh, the pagans, didn't have this figure, did they? Did they understand these things? They didn't. Did they have the revelation of the Quran to know that Allah is capable of doing this? And no. We are lucky to have the information in front of our eyes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم in Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17. سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا إنه هو السميع البصير. This is the only verse in the whole Quran which talks about Islam. Subhanallah. Any verse in the Quran which starts with Subhanallah, Tabarakallah, Allahulladhi, Huwalladhi, you know that what comes after that is something you cannot. You find something beyond your imagination, something you cannot comprehend. Subhanallah. Then you submit immediately. Then you say, okay, alhamdulillah. I have to accept, I have to agree. Asra bi'abdihi. Abd is a great title. And the literal translation is a slave. But for you to be the slave of Allah is an honor. But for you to be the slave of another man, it's humiliating and degrading. But to be the servant of Allah, the slave of Allah is something so beautiful. من المسجد الحرام. Masjid, haram. What's the meaning of haram? Sacred mosque. At that time there were 360 idols around the Kaaba. Were Muslims praying there like they pray now? No. What is the meaning of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa? What is Al-Aqsa in Arabic? Farthest. When you talk about farthest in Arabic, if you mention Al-Aqsa, then there is Al-Qasi. The Arabs must understand this. Al-Qasi. So in this verse, there was glad tidings to the Prophet that Allah is telling him there will be 3 mosques purified for my service. Al-Masjid Al-Haram will be purified and all these idols will be destroyed and you will establish regular prayers there, Muhammad and your followers. Secondly, Al-Masjid Al-Qasi is Masjid Al-Madinah. There will be a mosque there in Medina. Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, the farthest mosque. But there was no mosque there. Was there a mosque there? No. What was it? Church. Under the Byzantines, the Roman Empire. The site, it refers to the site, the Temple Mount. For those who've been there, they will appreciate what I'm talking about because they will understand the meaning of the Temple Mount. On the Temple Mount now, there are two mosques. That one there with the golden rock, or golden dome, what is it? Eh? What do we call it? The dome of the rock. We believe that that was the rock from where the Prophet ﷺ went up. Yes? Also, we believe that this could be the same rock from Isa ﷺ went up as well. And the other mosque, we call it what? We call it Al Masjid Al-Aqsa. But the Quran doesn't refer to that specific one. It refers to the site of the Temple Mount. So in this glad tidings to Prophet ﷺ, 3 mosques, Prophet ﷺ at that time, he went through very hard times. He lost his wife in that year. It was known as Aam al-Huzn, the year of sorrow. He was very, very much down. He lost his uncle as well. So the people who supported him, so Abu Talib and his wife were lost. He felt so much down, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took him on such a great journey. When we talk about the barakah, the word the barakna hawlahu, the whole of the Holy Land in the Quran is known as al-Ard al-Muqaddasa, as in verse 21, chapter 5. When Allah describes the barakah of Mecca, He talks about, or He refers only to the Kaaba. إن أول بيت وضع للناس للذي ببكة مباركا وهدى للعالمين, verse 96, chapter 3, Al Imran. So the barakah is only that part of Mecca, the Kaaba, the Bayt. But as far as the Holy Land is concerned, الذي باركنا حوله, the barakah is extended all over the place. It goes all the way to Sinai, where the glory of Allah appeared to the Mount of Sinai and destroyed it fully. It extends, as you know, to what we know today as Palestine, as Israel, as Lebanon, as Syria, as Jordan. All this, Al-Ard al-Muqaddasa, the Holy Land. So, we know from the tradition that the Prophet ﷺ had to undergo certain cleansing process or preparation process to be able to travel such a journey. I'm going to mention few hadith from the tradition just to give you an idea. What was the name of the vehicle which the Prophet ﷺ traveled on? Al-Buraq. Where is it derived from, Al-Buraq? What's Buraq? Barq. Correct, Barq. Barq. What's Barq? Lightning. And what is the speed of the light we said earlier? Dr. Sweden, 186,000 miles per second, or 300,000. So if Jibreel would have brought a space shuttle or brought a Concorde or a rocket, it would have frightened the process. So it was an animal between the donkey and the horse, something manageable. According to the authentic hadith, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let me read this, very interesting, very interesting. While the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was traveling, and we need to understand this, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam asked him to go down and pray. So they are traveling together, and then they landed somewhere. And he asked him to go and pray. So he prayed and came back. Do you know where did you pray? He said, no. He said, you prayed in Tayba. You prayed, one of the names of Medina is Tayba. Yathrib, Tayba, al-Medina. وَإِلَيْهَا الْمَهَاجِرُ, and you will immigrate to it, Muhammad. Then they continued their journey, and they stopped in Sinai, and he said to him, could you please all move forward, please? Oh, move forward. That's not what Jibreel said, that's what I'm saying. Move forward. Go forward. Okay. And he said, go and pray. So alayhi salatu wasalam, he went down, he prayed. Do you know where did you pray? He said, no. He said, you prayed where Allah spoke to Moses. Then they continued their journey. Go down and pray. Do you know where did you pray? He said, no. He said, you prayed in Bethlehem where Isa was born. They continued the journey and they went into Jerusalem. This is beautiful because if you go to these places and you pray in Sinai where the glory of Allah appeared to the mount, and you go to Jerusalem, to Bethlehem, and you pray down there where Muhammad prayed there, and then you enter Jerusalem and you pray there. So beautiful, so beautiful for those who went and had the luck to be there. Now, there is a hadith in Ahmad ibn Hanbal which is hadith sahih, isnadu sahih. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه عن ابن عباس قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لما كان ليلة أسري بي وأصبحت في مكة. When I went on the Isra and in the morning I was in Mecca, I was so concerned. And I knew for sure people will not believe me. They will accuse me of lying. So I sat down on my own and I was very sad. So the enemy of Allah, Abu Jahl, passed. And he said to Muhammad, والسلام, in a very sarcastic way, oh, was there anything special? So the Prophet ﷺ said, yes. So Abu Jahl said, and what is it? He said, last night I went on a journey. Where to? I went to Jerusalem. Really? And here you are here in the morning? You see the relativity. Everything is relative. Well, he didn't want to deny him. He said, if I call your people, would you actually tell them what you have told me? He said, yes. So Abu Jahl asked everybody to come around. And Abu Jahl said to him, okay, tell them what you told me. So the Prophet ﷺ said, I went on a journey by night. And they said, where to? I went to Jerusalem. And then you are here in the morning among us? He said, yes. So people started, some of them went like that, some of them went like that on their heads because of the lie. They regard it as a lie. Can you describe the mosque to us? And I want you to notice the word mosque used in the Quran actually. Mosque doesn't only refer to the mosque. If you go back to Surah Al-Kahf, what did they build? Masjidan. Any place for worship where you prostrate yourself to the one true God is regarded as a mosque. Masjid comes from the word sujud or yasjud, the root, sajada, which means you prostrate yourself. And there were among them some people who traveled already. They traveled the journey. They traveled, went to Jerusalem on business. They go all the way up, رحلتي الشتاء والصيف, the two journeys of winter and summer. They used to go in the summer to Asham, to the Holy Land, and in the winter they go to Yemen. These were the two very famous trade routes at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So, describe it. If you've been there, describe it to us. If you have been to Paris and saw the Eiffel Tower, tell me, how does it look like? Or the pyramids in Giza, tell me, how does it look like? So the Prophet ﷺ started to describe it in great details. And then he says, but some of the details, I started to get confused. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought the whole thing in front of him. And he can see it now. And he's describing the minute details of the Masjid al-Aqsa to them. So, فَقَالَ الْقَوْمُ, the people said, أَمَّا النَّعْتُ فَوَاللَّهِ لَقَدْ أَصَابَ. As far as the description is concerned, he really and truly told the truth. That's all right. While the Prophet ﷺ was traveling this journey, a Satan, a genie, came and he had a torch in his hand. And he tried to put the torch in the face of Muhammad ﷺ. And every time he turns any direction, he just put the torch in his face. So the Prophet ﷺ was so concerned, so Jibreel ﷺ told him what to say. And this is a beautiful prayer let me, I translated before, it's verse, it's at page 37, just once. Yes. I'll read it in Arabic. فقال له جبريل, Jibril said, أفلا أعلمك كلمات تقولهن? Should I or shall I teach you words, certain words or invocation? You would say, إذا قلتهن طفئت شعلته وخر لفيه. If you say it, his flame or torch will be extinguished and he will fall down on his face. Prophet ﷺ say yes, please do. He said, أعوذ بوجه الله الكريم وبكلمات الله التامات التي لا يجاوزهن بر ولا فاجر من شر ما ينزل من السماء وشر ما يعرج فيها وشر ما ذرأ في الأرض وشر ما يخرج منها ومن فتن الليل والنهار ومن طوارق الليل والنهار إلا طارقا يطرق بخير يا رحمن. This hadith is in Muwatta Imam Malik. So let me translate it very quickly. I seek refuge in the most honorable face of Allah and in His perfect words, which encompass every good and evil, from any evil coming down from or descending, coming down from heaven or going up, ascending, and from any evil created on earth or coming out of it, and from the trials of night and day, and from any news by night or day, except if it is good news, O most merciful. So it is something nice to say it every morning or every evening before you go to bed, and it gives you a lot of comfort, especially when you come to the bit about وَمِن طَوَارِقِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ إِلَّا طَارِقًا يَتْرُكُ بِخَيْرٍ. When you have news by day or night, except the good news, because when your telephone goes on at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's not good news actually when someone is calling you 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to stop here inshallah now, and we'll have a few announcements. Next Friday inshallah I'll be in Cairo inshallah, so I'll see you after I come and we can continue.
Safdar.
Dr. Rehan actually, he is asking us to do dua for his father who is in hospital. So let's all take part in this, please. I should have gone and visit him, but I was away also the whole week last week. اللهم اشفيه وعافيه وعفو عنه. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس. اشفي أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاءك شفاء لا يغادر سقما أبدا. يا شافي يا معافي وإذا مرضت فهو يشفين. نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيه ويعافيه وينجيه. نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيه ويعافيه وينجيه وإذا مرضت فهو يشفين.